till the day I die.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Sneha, and thank you for joining episode 7. No, that's not 7. That's 8. 7. I hope you guys had a great week. It is officially March, my birthday. So in today's episode, the topic is various forms of using other people's words, other people's work, and maybe it's not even plagiarizing at all. So a lot has happened this week, I feel, mainly, and we all know what I'm going to talk about, okay? We all know where I'm about to go with this. It's the Ambani wedding. One of the main things that happened this past week, or technically now it's last weekend, I guess, because it was a 3-day pre-wedding. Let me just say one thing. I thought this was the wedding. I remember a long time ago, maybe it wasn't a long time ago, a few years ago, I remember the daughter got married, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. This particular wedding has been on social media more, on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. Mukesh Ambani, I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know, he is one of the richest people in the world. He is a billionaire, billions and billions and billions and millions. He's, I believe, 11th. This was just the pre-wedding, right? And I don't know if it's probably because it's the last son and it's the youngest son. So it's going to be like, okay, this is our last child. We're going to get him married and boom, done. We don't have any more marriages to be done with. I forgot how much it was in Indian rupees, but I think by the time we translated, it was like $102 million. And I was like, dang. And if you even think about it, just right before I go into Radhika, and I know I'm going on tangents again. Oh, last time I did that, guys. I don't know if anyone noticed. The whole entire episode, I was going like, okay, guys, how are we all doing today? Doing well? And instead of like going like this, I don't know why I was going like this. I was just like, la la la. Tell me if I'm going like this. I can only see it on the corner of my eye until I'm like looking up there. Who's singing at the pre-wedding? Keep in mind, I honestly had no idea who sang at the previous one, meaning the daughter's wedding. So I'm like wondering, I wonder who it is. It was Rihanna. And it was like, Rihanna's dance crew and everyone came. And I was like, what? And I'm like, you got Rihanna? I think out of all the celebrities, very good choice. People were saying was during the wedding, there's another performance. So everyone's wondering who that is. And I was like, what? There's another performance? I'm like, they already got Beyonce for another wedding. Unless they're going to invite her again. Then there's Rihanna, right? And then I'm like, who else is there? Like Taylor Swift? But I'm like, I don't know if Taylor Swift, I'm not saying in a mean way, but like, I don't know how, obviously Taylor Swift is popular. Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. You know, I would love Romeo took me, you know what I mean? Like, cause I'm thinking like dancing, but also like you just want to like sing and like sing songs. Definitely Taylor Swift songs, especially like back when I was in high school, were definitely the ones that everyone was singing. Maybe it is Taylor Swift. We never know. In total, and I'm reading this article from Business Insider, is that Rihanna took the stage. She performed a total of 19 songs. That is a lot of songs. I don't know. How long do usual concerts? I went to a Jonas Brothers concert. I don't really remember how many songs they sang. But what's the average? Because doesn't their throat hurt? Or maybe it's breaks in between. But I remember it was the most sweetest thing because Rihanna's like, pretty much she's saying the bride and groom's name. She butchered it. Butchered it meaning like coming from America, she didn't butcher it. Butcher it meaning that's how a lot of people that aren't Indian say Indian names. Do you know what I mean? They have that like enunciation of everything. Do I believe she should have taken the time to maybe practice a little bit more? Yes, I do. For the fact that I think in total, when I was translating it again, it was around $6 to $7 million. And I will say though, she did do her duty. Duty meaning like if you watch videos and she's on stage, of course, her attention is on the bride and groom. When the family's on stage, you know, she's hugging the bride and groom, like one arm is the bride, one arm is the groom. See, that's it. And thing is, like, some people are like, it's like, yeah, when you pay somebody, yeah, they should know what to do. It's like, I know it's going to sound like a little weird. If you go to like some children's birthdays, right, they may invite a princess, right? They may invite Cinderella or like the Frozen princesses, or I guess Queen and Princess. And other princesses, right? Wouldn't it be weird if you paid that princess to come, they didn't pay attention to the birthday boy or girl? That's the same thing here that's going on. You know what I mean? You're hiring Rihanna to perform pre-wedding stuff. And I feel like she was definitely chilling. It seemed like she was having the time of her life, honestly. She was like, this is awesome. And she said it was her first time in India. And I was like, what? Why have we not brought Rihanna to India yet? If she had a concert in India, I'm telling you, it would be filled, hacked. Come on. Like, who doesn't love freaking Rihanna? People thought it was so funny. There's a video out of like, they're pretty much going on a tour bus, right? And people were like, oh, it's so funny seeing celebrities go to a wedding like this. And I'm like, not really. If you think about it, if it's me, for instance, a celebrity's right next to me, right? It's a big thing because they're a celebrity. You see them on TV, right? But if everyone in the room are celebrities, it like nulls out. You know what I mean? Now, of course, like if they see Rihanna or something, it's a different kind of celebrity, right? Because that's not in their group of people necessarily. Maybe if they hung out with Rihanna, right, and became friends with her, then Rihanna would seem normal to them. You know what I mean? But like, this is like pretty much us inviting our family and friends, and like, they're like, oh, don't bring your cars or whatever. Just come in this bus. The LED lights, like the curtain thing, fell. If you guys have seen the Mindful Tangents Instagram page and you saw that video I posted, you'll see these LED lights. And we just did some Errati kind of hanging. Errati meaning there is no tape. We're just hoping it stays. So I was just like, and I thought this whole thing was going to fall. But anyways, back to the story. Then we get to, and I kind of touched upon this in the beginning about plagiarism. It's not that serious. But everyone else, obviously, I don't know what these people, if they've done anything bad before in the past or what, or if it's just because they're rich, like these kids are rich that everyone doesn't like them. You know what I mean? I feel like no matter who you are, someone always has something to say to put you down. You know what I mean? There was a speech at one point, right? And they're all like thanking their fathers and mothers and all that stuff, in-laws, sisters, friends, and family. The son goes first, Anant, and he was like, oh, it was bad. It was bad meaning bad, not bad. It wasn't bad at all. It was bad meaning for me. And why I say that is because he was like thanking, and then he started thanking his dad. And then the camera panned to Mukesh Ambani, and then Mukesh Ambani was like, oh, and then I'm over here like, oh, and like, I don't know these people, okay? It's not like I know these people and I'm like, yeah, that's such a good speech, yeah. It's like, I'm just like, oh, I see like the father-son relationship, you crying, I'm crying. I am 1000%. If you put a sad scene in a movie, I will be the person that you're aiming to cry, okay? If I don't cry, it's not sad, okay? Because I feel like a lot of people don't cry, and I'm just over here like in my corner like, you know what I mean? I'm just like in the motions, you know? I think he did his speech first, and then the soon-to-be bride, Radhika, is also did her speech. There's a video, and you'll probably see it popped up on the screen here or here, and pretty much, I don't know on YouTube if it's there. I saw this on TikTok. Somebody realized that part of her speech, towards the end, there's a part in her speech saying like, she's like addressing everyone, right? Like mom, dad, future in-laws, everyone, right? And then she's then referring to her soon-to-be husband. And then she says that how like, oh, somebody once asked me, how do you want, like pretty much like love in your life? And then she goes on to like these quotes, right? And then somebody realizes that this portion she's saying is from a movie. It's the movie Shall We Dance? It has Susan Sarandon, J-Lo, Richard Gere, Gere. That's the name. And in that scene, it's Susan who's saying that particular line, right? Let's be honest here, okay? Unless you're a writing genius, okay? So if you are a writing genius, and all these people be like saying stuff, but when it's like somebody asks you, can you do a speech? Can you do a wedding speech? Can you do this speech? You know what a lot of people doing? They Google, and that's absolutely fine. I feel like most people's speeches meaning not like for school, okay? This is more like for weddings and like for, you know, like more casual things, like where it's not like, okay, you're not making a living off of it. You're not making like, it's not for school and you're grading, pretty much plagiarism. This is more like a casual location, right? People, I know so many weddings, so many people like literally the first thing they do is Google how to write a speech, how to do this. Right? And I'm thinking these two children got to write so many speeches. They had some in the engagement. They can't repeat that. Then they got 3 freaking days of pre-wedding stuff, which I bet you they got to say something on every single one of those days. And then on top of that, they got to do something for the wedding. Maybe they wrote it personally. I don't know. Or maybe they had somebody help them write it. I don't know. The only difference between them and us like meaning her, and then someone else does it, is unfortunately it's out for everyone to see. Well, first of all, I gotta give it to the person that recognizes a movie scene, because I'm just like, even if I watched a movie and someone told me the speech, like the same exact speech in the movie, I'll be like, wow, that is very good speech. Wow, very good. Because that's how bad my memory is. Some people's memory is like, I know that exact line. It's at 1 minute and 25 seconds. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, child, what? Like, how do you remember it? Great memory. Great memory. But unfortunately, because obviously they're in the public eye, it sucks. Like, where it hurt her was just the fact that because she didn't say it's from a movie or anything, it did make it sound like she said those lines. Does that make sense? Like, it did sound like that. If she even said, like, honestly, if she's like, yeah, from this movie, I think this movie said it well. Okay, do it like that. You don't have to make up your own words, girl. It's okay. I feel like it's such a light thing. It's a wedding, man. Okay, who cares? Going off of plagiarism or copying, there is a person. I don't know if you guys know this person. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I feel like if you have a Facebook, you probably do. And why I'm saying Facebook is there is a man named Jay Shetty. He has been in the news. If you don't know who he is a best-selling author, but you guys may have seen him in Facebook where he has these like more inspirational videos, and it's maybe from his, I think it's snippets from his podcast, and or just like literally face to face like this, and then maybe there's an acting scene after, but he'll tell you more nomadic inspirational lines meaning, you know, things to let you know about certain parts of your life, or if you're angry, or do not go on greed or money, and all these things, right? And from that, he's grown a lot. I guess he posted quotes, and obviously this, you know, things that we do in our lives ends up leading to us where we are now, right? The one, I believe it was The Guardian that I mainly was reading, they were saying that a lot of his old posts were actually from other people. Every article, like if you combine all these articles together, you kind of get the synopsis of what's going on. So, and there's a lot of things going on too, by the way. It wasn't like one thing that he's alleged for, but for some reason, and that's the one thing I'm curious about, why this all came back up again, because I think he was under scrutiny before, and now it's just going up again. And so pretty much it was alleged that people that were in his community, ISKCON, it is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So he was part of their youth group and all that, right? And I guess a lot of, according to all these, allegedly from all these articles, he was taking what a lot of his peers were saying and using those quotes, right? And that's part of his, like, what he used to post. A lot of people are upset that, you know, of course he used other people's words, right? Other people's lines and quotes. And those posts are a building block to where he is today. The whole plagiarism thing from when they were younger, right? So if he did allegedly take these quotes from other people a long time ago, that time, I don't think he was famous. I don't even remember when this man became famous, but keep in mind, like, to the level of like famousness he is now, is that he officiated J-Lo and Ben Affleck's wedding. That's the tier of like celebrityhood he's on, okay? He's like, he knows the celebrities. If you go onto his podcast, he's got these celebrities on that, right? And I agree that these posts that he made a long time ago are his building block. What I want to know more about is it that now that he's famous, that this is becoming a concern? And like, you know, he's with all the celebrities, he's living this rich life and all that stuff? Or is it because you had this issue before too? Like, hey, yo, you took my quote and it's been consistent? Because that's a huge difference in my eyes. If you were a person that been from the beginning, you're like, dude, I said that, like, that's not cool or whatever, or, you know what I mean? And you kept the same attitude throughout, I completely understand, like, that's wrong. But if you were like, didn't care from that point beforehand, you know what I mean? And then now it's like, why does it matter now? Do you know what I mean? And is it matter now because you want something from it? Or is it more like, oh, he's not like the smart person you thought he was? Because I'll say, yes, the quotes and certain posts help, right? And obviously if his whole thing was like bad, if his whole thing was like fake meaning he didn't write anything and somebody else, yeah, that's a little questionable. But like, I just don't understand why it's coming up now. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm not getting from any of these articles. Like, none of the articles are helping me understand, why is this an issue now? Is it because oh, people should be worried that like he's not who he truly is. But like, let's be honest, like, yes, he may have made posts, right? But in person, is he taking those quotes and telling you, like, for instance, if I met him right now, is he telling me those things? Like, would he like, oh yeah, my friend told me to say this, or this person told me this, so now I'm going to use that. Obviously, there's more to a person than the post, right? If it is fake or if it is real, no matter what it is, they got to do it the whole entire time when they're meeting people, right? So then it's like comes into question, like, why does it matter at that point? Now, the thing is, if it's the fact that they want credit for it, and then that's absolutely fair, but that's obviously and it's, you know, he didn't listen this whole entire time, then of course, I do think that he should be saying it, and his value wouldn't go down, I don't think necessarily. Because if you're on, it's better to be honest and be like, hey, yeah, I did take these from these people. Because technically if that was from a long time ago and you built yourself up since then, you didn't use those people's help, I'm assuming, to do it. So it's like, okay, give the credit. A long time ago, I don't know if you guys remember, there was like this old man or whatever, and he thought the world was going to end. Okay. He was like, oh yeah, I'm God's disciple, and I'm telling all of y'all the world's going to end. And guess what? There were people that listened to him. Right. And they like did not like whatever that guy said on his blog post, they listened. Right. But isn't that a choice? If you listen, like you're listening to somebody, you're saying, hey, I believe them. I think what they're saying is correct. I agree with what they're saying. You know what I mean? And whatever anyone feeds you, you're believing. Right. And so then I completely understand there are naive people. There are children. Those are different. But like people were blindly listening to this guy. He literally made everyone like not everyone, but like a lot of people believe that the world was going to end. Guess what happened? The world didn't end. Okay. The world did not end that day. It just kept going. And obviously those people at that moment were like, oh, then I guess the world isn't ending. You know, let me go back to my normal life as if like I wasn't paying attention to this guy because obviously he's crazy now. But like, it's the same thing. I feel personally, it's the same thing. There's a lot of things, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's some kind of writer or anything, we ourselves are technically it's their fans or their believers or like, you know, believers, get it? Justin Bieber. So we are putting the value in what they say. Do you know what I mean? Like everything in this world, it has value because we put that value on those things, whether it's money, right? Money, if you give me $1, right, and you're some alien and you just look at that dollar, you'll be like, what is this? This is nothing to me, right? But because we put that value on the dollar, we put value on gold, we do all those things, that's why it has value. Same thing with people in our lives. We may not, like maybe somebody hurt us, then we ignore them. They're not part of our lives. We don't put value in them. They're not in our lives anymore. But same thing with these celebrities. If we choose to put value in them, they will have value. That's why I find the beauty of the world in general, because I can say one thing, right? And then someone else can have a different opinion, right? And I appreciate that, because then pretend I said something wrong, right? And I said something completely wrong, or I did something wrong, and that person calls me out for it, right? They have the freedom to tell everyone else and like let everyone know. And that at least protects those people, right? And that's the same thing I feel like in Jay Shetty's situation, where people have the choice to listen to him. People have the choice to say like, hey, this is wrong. And they have the right to say all that. And those other people have the choice to pick, okay, I understand that. Do I want to still follow him or not? Right? I think as long as it's advice. However, I will say one thing. If his words, if it is deceit, if all this alleged things that are around him is true, right? That plays a different role if you're trying to sell something, especially if it's a program. So he actually started this program, and it's, I guess, allegedly accredited, and it's supposed to be for your master's and everything. And I guess it turns out it's not accredited, and people were paying thousands of dollars for this program, assuming they're getting a master's degree, but they're not. And see, now that is a problem if that is the case, because that is like you're literally putting people's money and playing with people's money through your words, right? People believe you that like, hey, oh, if you follow this book, or if you read this book, or if you do my program, you're going to do this. See, now that's a problem. And that's not just like morals wise, but that's just business wise. Like, don't be taking people's money. Like, that's anything. Like, if I get a sponge and no, let me not say sponge. If I get a water bottle or pretend I go to Poland Springs water from the fridge from a grocery store, right? And I look at it and they're like, oh yeah, it has water, but there's no water in it, right? That's not fair. It's like, if you're going to sell people programs of like, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, you best believe people are going to come, and that's where the value is. And I feel like that's where the problem's coming with this whole situation, where he is saying a lot of stuff and people are like, you have to be cautious of who you're paying attention to because they can put you into a trap, which I don't disagree with. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone should be aware of like what they're putting themselves into. However, if they choose after the fact to still continue and then get into trouble, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, what happened sucks, and hopefully someone will help you. But like, what happened when all those other people were saying all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? You guys were supposed to tell me about my head going up. Gosh, I'm over here just like, again, we're on this topic of like taking ideas and not being truthful. Okay. Universities, okay? And we all have been there. And I feel like every year passes, the technology gets insane, okay? Back when I was in high school and college, there was Turnitin.com. And I mean, at that time, we didn't have AI. I mean, that I know of. I don't know anything. But there was no AI to write you a whole essay, okay? So, if you copied and pasted for instance, example, a quote from a website, an article, a research scholarly source, it will be scanned, like on Turnitin.com, it will like highlight it and then it'll tell you a score of how much percentage you plagiarized, right? And you know what I mean? Obviously, certain sentences aren't plagiarized, it's just a common sentence. Does that make sense? So it's like, I'll just say, I ran in the hallway, right? How many books could probably have that same exact line, So there's some sentences that are just common, but obviously others that are obviously very, very, this. Now, and some students are obviously, and with this AI, I guess AI can just completely write you a whole essay. And I was like, what? That's amazing. Amazing meaning you should write your own article. Okay, you should write your own essays, please. Like, that's the whole purpose of the education. But I see the fun of not having to sit down and write a 12-page paper. Okay. And of course, I don't know how it is in other countries. If you're caught plagiarizing, you go to a board and that board evaluates like how it is. And I think they allow you to talk. I think in some schools, they'll just completely kick you out. Maybe they may put disciplinary action. Like maybe you're kind of for that semester on watch. So if you do another mistake, you'll get kicked. So Grammarly, I mean, I don't know now what what features Grammarly has now, but when I used to use Grammarly before, I used to love Grammarly. Okay. Grammarly was my favorite thing because I was very, like, when I talk about grammar, I was horrible with grammar. Okay. I did not read a lot. Okay. When I was a kid, it was me reading was just like 5 or 6 pages. I was like, oh my God. I was like, why do I gotta read the gingerbread man story? You know what I mean? Like, I was not a fan. And if I did find a book, like for instance, like Twilight or Hunger Games or all that, I would like stick and like read it for 3 days straight, the whole series. But other than that, I did not read. So when I went to college, Grammarly was very, like, for me, it was very huge. It would tell you if it was a passive sentence. It would tell you if it's a fragment sentence, like all these things. And either it would, one, suggest what the change is, or 2, it would just identify for you so you can update it yourself and then fix the issues. Now, the thing is, this is from thehill.com, a news article, and this has to do with a student whose name is Marley Stevens, a junior at the University of North Georgia, and she received a 0 on a recent paper, putting her in academic probation and jeopardizing her scholarship. I'm on probation until February 16th of next year. Next year? I mean, hey, at least you got a whole year. But like, that means, wait, what? She's a junior. So that means by her senior year, by she graduates, she's going to be off probation. That's intense, dude. I found another article because I was confused because I'm thinking, oh, like plagiarism, like someone else wrote it. No, it's not even that. Oh no, that's messed up. Okay. And the fact that you put this girl on probation for it, pretty much, it said using AI itself is cheating and not your work. It aptly detects that AI and plagiarism return a positive response for AI. Do you know what that means? When that girl used that Grammarly to fix her grammar, technically AI helped her with that, right? And now it is considered AI, like meaning like AI like helped you figure out those sentences. That's crazy. Technology is crazy, yo. Like, how do you do that? Like, unless she's downloading the paper directly from Grammarly, but like the fact that she's doing that, because like that's just so dumb. And the fact that I'm writing a horrible sentence and you're rewriting it to sound better, it's like, why does it matter? You know what I mean? Because it's a different, I personally believe if it's a different thing, meaning like if you did not write it at all and you're like, write an essay about this, that's completely plagiarizing and it's morally, I get it. And it's not the purpose of education. But if you already originally wrote the sentence and they're just making your sentence better, it's not like they're adding on a sentence, they're just making it proper. I don't think, I mean, maybe I'm just not very good with, I'm not a writer or a reader or whatever. I don't see the big deal. It's kind of like you already had the idea, you already put in the work. So then technically in everyone's mind, right? When people write articles, when people write books, when people write everything, there's always an editor, there's always people reviewing. Technically it's plagiarism, right? Because if it's the same theory here, because a lot of these people, they go send it and then be like, hey, can you read this? Can you edit this for me? Or like figure this out? And they'll read through and be like, hey, maybe the sentence sounds better like this. That's not plagiarism. That's not, like, in my opinion, that is not plagiarism. Now, the thing is, the source of the AI, if AI is like pulling it from Google and like pretty much like, hey, this sentence sounds like that sentence from the internet and pulling it and pasting it, that's 1000% plagiarism. But if AI is like using its AI technology to rewrite the sentence and not take it from another source, that's not plagiarism. That's like pretty much having a computer check your work. Completely understand the whole plagiarism for school and everything once again. I feel like plagiarism is definitely a touchy subject because no matter where you are, like in anything you do, whether it's work, whether it's the music you listen to, right? Whether it's schoolwork, anything, it depends on what's going on behind the scenes, what's actually happening, like what is it? And that's also, I feel like, the responsibility in this situation. That was like the board director situation of trying to figure it out. Now, I don't know if turnitin.com, because we don't know all the details of like what's happening in between. We don't know if turnitin.com said something in between. We just know that it says that AI was used. Now, thing is, once again, we don't know if this whole essay was written by AI, but allegedly it was put into Grammarly using the AI feature to rewrite sentences. What are your thoughts on the plagiarism, right? Because like plagiarism's everywhere, right? Plagiarizing or using other people's work, right? If we use other people's work, for instance, for writing a wedding speech, I don't think it's a big deal personally. Like, yeah, it's a thing. You know what I mean? We need inspiration to write stuff. We're not like all like writers. Then there's people that build their careers off of using other people's work. And do we think of it of like how much what extent they're using that work? If it's something from a long time ago, or like how much do we use those particular items that person took from someone else? Do you think of that person when you're thinking of it? Do we think of it as a building block that if we remove that building block, that person wouldn't have gotten to where they were now? And then in these kind of situations, now with technology and AI and students with plagiarizing, right? Students have been plagiarizing since they could, you know what I mean? Since the beginning of time, caveman. What are your thoughts? Is it okay? Do you think essays should be banned? I mean, not for English majors, sorry, English people. What are your thoughts of like taking ideas from others, using those ideas in different scenarios? I'm a little bit always nervous to say some certain topics because I'm like, I'm not meaning in the mean way or anything like that. It's just like, it's just thoughts. It's thoughts, ideas that are now on the internet. And also, Siri just told me that my birthday is on a Tuesday. Once this episode is out, it's in a week. Woo! It'll be the last wait, that sounded weird. It's gonna be the last year in my 20s, and then it'll be officially 30. I don't really think about my age really much. I just more think about like the back pain, That's all I care about. Thank you everyone for taking the time to watch these episodes. Last week, I saw so many people sharing on their stories, on Facebook, liking the post. I truly appreciate all your support. My first goal is to get to 100 followers and 100 subscribers on both my Instagram and my YouTube. So if you have an Instagram, you can follow the Mindful Tangents for the reels and any time of notification of whether the episodes are coming out. And then, of course, on YouTube, the Mindful Tangents for all the new episodes. I appreciate once again everyone's support. And don't forget to like the video, share wherever you have social media. And thank you so much for joining me on episode 7. I'll see you guys next week. Bye when I'm 29.